here. This one, let me pop it up big for everybody. What happens with the soft palate when you take the tongue out of the mouth and sing? Now, I'm wondering,
So that's,
well, how do you
I
take
think what,
the tongue out of the mouth?
yeah, I think they're talking about my extended tongue. The soft palate's going to come down a little bit, right? So there's a muscle in the back called the palatal-glossus muscle. So our muscles in our body, in our vocal tract, primarily have two parts of the name. One part tells you where it starts, the other tells you where it inserts to, and it almost always tries to pull the place it inserts towards the part it originated. So the palatal-glossus is in the soft palate. It connects down to the tongue. When it contracts, it's going to try to pull that tongue back. Great for swallowing. When you stick your tongue out, you stretch that muscle. And so more than likely, you're going to put it in a place of stretch weakness, and that palate's going to drift down a little bit with it. There are lots of vocal exercises we do that have a potential negative side effect. And what we have to then think about is the benefit worth the cost?
Yeah.
So if I have somebody where everything they sing is some variation of that, and as somebody mentioned earlier, that's constrictor engagement as well. But the tongue is part of that. So if the tongue's pulling back, the constrictors are engaging. When we get the tongue out, those constrictors are going to be less likely to engage because the constrictors are swallowing muscles, and we don't swallow with our tongue out. So getting our tongue out is more likely going to get those to let go. Not always, but in a good majority of cases. So to me, if I'm trying to break that specific movement pattern, I'm looking at it and going, I don't mind if a little nasality creeps in because I know it's because the tongue's extended. And if when we were starting off singing, I'm going, the palate's fine, it knows how to lift, I'm not worried that the person's going to get back their normal neutral place.
Yeah.
If the palate's already not lifting, well, it's not lifting. So getting their tongue out of the way is not going to make anything worse. That's where we already are. So my thought is, just as a teacher, a singer, is that, anytime we do it, balance in your head on that AO joint. I mean, the potential of that, when we talked about that today, is you become a robot. You think that everything has to be balanced on here. That's a potential negative side effect, is you get somebody who no longer acts well. Well, you just as the teacher need to know that and then catch them when they're starting to take it to the extreme. So if somebody starts off that their tongue is pulled back and is working, and that feels like they're stretching it, and then 4 weeks later they're going and it's almost touching their chin, they've gone to the extreme. We then neutralize that thing.
Yeah.
It's just like when we were working today, if this is that AO joint all of a sudden starts to get robotic, then I'm going to get them moving around through the space to make sure that it's not stiff.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's essentially what it could be happening when we get that tongue out.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because I was one of those singers myself that, found something new and it was working. I'm like, oh, amazing. This is the secret sauce. Yeah. And then I would just be so obsessed with it. I would do it until I went too far. And I don't know why. And this is why I'm so passionate about teaching and sharing information now. Nobody told me that I was doing that. And I'm like, why isn't it working? It was working last week. And I had a client this week. He's like, I was doing this last week and it was great. And now, because I've gone through that experience, I say, yeah, it was. And today you've gone too far.
Yeah.
So we just need to pull it. It's still working as good as it was before. You've been obsessed with it because it got such a great result that you explored it and you actually went a little bit too far in that direction. And now we're just going to bring it back to that happy zone. So all of the tools that we're using are to help singers unlock a problem, disrupt their neurological connections, discover something new. But it's always a balancing act. And I try and help us singers understand this now is, yeah, it works great. But like you said, there is a potential problem inherent in every tool. And the problem is overdoing it. You just keep it at that happy medium. What's that saying about moderation in all things? A little bit of a good thing is great. Too much of a good thing is going to make you sick. Same thing in singing. And you talked about let me pop up this question real quick, because it is